Flights from Jeju Island have resumed at last, shuttling frustrated travelers off the island after the airport's 45-hour shutdown. We bring you their stories. A court has sentenced a former member of the panel that investigated the sinking of the warship Cheonan for defamation against the military. And the UNESCO World Heritage Site of Hwasong Fortress in Swan will host an event to explore its historical significance through the year 2016. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Tuesday, January 26th. I'm Luke Clary. Flights out of Jeju Island have resumed at last, shuttling stranded travelers off the island after the airport's 45-hour shutdown. Consequently, Gimpo Airport near Seoul bustled with frustrated returning travelers all night long. Here are their stories.
Tourists looking exhausted pour out to the arrival area. They are welcomed by their families who have been anxiously waiting for their loved ones to return safely. The travelers all appear tired, but they can't help smiling at the sight of their families. Some tourists say the delay gave them unforgettable memories, despite the long wait of 45 hours and great inconvenience.
모든 교통편이 움직일 수 없을 정도로 다 취소가 되고 캔슬이 되고 눈 구경은 아주 그냥 평생 할 거 잘한 것 같습니다.
But those who missed important appointments were not so tolerant.
출근했어야 되는데 회사에 출근을 못 해가지고 막 서로 어떻게 해야 되냐 막 물어보고 막 이래가지고 너무 정신 없었고.
These travelers finally got on the bus home with unforgettable stories about the record-breaking blizzard of 2016.
Thanks to the efforts of many Jeju Island residents, thousands of passengers stranded at Jeju Airport were able to endure the long wait for flights out in relative comfort, given the circumstances. Locals shared their houses, vehicles, and food to help the exhausted travelers. Lee Yoon-kyung and her baby girl had been stranded at Jeju Airport for 3 days amid the freezing weather when their flight was canceled due to the heavy snow. That's when she came across a post on social media offering a room at a local house.
아기가 있을 만한 숙소가 없는 거예요. 숙소도 없고 해서 찾다가 마지막 지푸라기 잡는 심정으로 이곳을 알게 돼서 오게 됐습니다.
Dozens of other stranded passengers were able to find a warm place to stay through offers made by locals on online cafes.
저희도 인식 왜 이러냐 막 이런 댓글 봤을 때 너무 가슴이 아팠고 우리 제주도민들이 절대 그렇지 않는데.
Foreign tourists on the island also received help from Jeju residents. A Chinese family of 6 who got lost in the blizzard on Jeju Island said they were immensely grateful to locals for lending them a helping hand.
今天早上还供应我们在他家做了吃饭给我们吃，吃了以后再叫车子把我们送到这里来。
Businesses and organizations sent snacks to Jeju Airport. One local hotel even provided rooms to 130 stranded travelers free of charge. Thanks to the warm hearts of Jeju residents, travelers were able to endure the icy weather and heavy snow. Satellites have captured the recent cold snap and blizzards around the world from orbit in stunning images. Satellite photos show the Korean peninsula as well as the eastern seaboard of the United States locked in enormous storm fronts from the North Pole.
This is an image photographed from Korea's Cheolleon Communication and Meteorological Satellite from 36,000 kilometers up in orbit. This streaky cloud formation over the Yellow Sea was created by the waves of cold air from the Arctic. The slow-flowing downstream regions of the Han River and the Imjin River up north have frozen solid from the recent freeze. They stand in stark contrast from just 2 weeks ago when the rivers were flowing freely. Hit by the blinding blizzard over the weekend, the Chungcheong and southwestern regions are now covered in a thick blanket of snow. At an altitude of 5 kilometers, minus 40 degrees Celsius air currents have even traveled as far south as Taiwan to create a freezing cover. The jet stream below the North Pole is not as strong as it has been normally, allowing the cold air from the Arctic to run over to Korea and other parts of East Asia. The cold front has stretched across the Pacific Ocean and over to North America as well. Unprecedented cold temperatures and blizzards have plagued the globe this month. The Korean Meteorological Administration has forecast that the Arctic jet stream will gradually return to normal strength and that the record-breaking cold snap will dissipate soon.
The ongoing cold spell has meant a particularly tough time for vendors at the nation's traditional markets. By contrast, large shopping malls are crowded with customers, no doubt seeking refuge from the freezing weather. Here's more.
It's 14 degrees Celsius below zero at this traditional market. The frozen vegetables are as hard as stone. Radishes are covered with ice despite being bundled up in blankets.
이불도 소용없어요. 다 얼었어요. 지금 물건이 이게 안 얼은 걸 싱싱한 걸 놔뒀는데도 지금 얘네들이 살얼음이 이렇게 얼었거든요.
Traditional markets have been deserted since the cold spell gripped the nation. Some of the stores have closed altogether. Meanwhile, department stores are packed with shoppers despite the icy weather and enjoying a surge in sales.
올해 1월 접어들어서 날씨가 많이 추워지면서 프리미엄 패딩, 모피, 장갑 같은 이제 방한용품 매출이 점점 상승하고 있습니다.
Sales of electric heating devices at supermarket chains soared by nearly 200% compared with the same period a year ago. Bubble wrap and door weather strip kits have all been sold out. The use of delivery services provided by supermarket chains has also increased dramatically. While major retailers are thriving in the cold weather, traditional market vendors are struggling to make ends meet.
Since the Korea-China Free Trade Agreement came into effect late last year, Chinese corporations' interest in investment opportunities in Korea has peaked. CEOs of Chinese conglomerates visited a recent Korean embassy investment program with the aim of tapping into business opportunities in Korea.
This Chinese company has grown to become one of the 5 biggest mobile game developers in China, only 5 years after its founding. Its mobile game, based on a popular character named MT, became a big hit and raked in more than $250 million in sales in 2015 alone. The Chinese company immediately entered the thriving Korean game market and has so far made investments worth nearly $16.7 million.
在那个时候呢，我们又和韩国那边组建了这个就共同的投资基金。我觉得在通过这次 FTA 达成之后呢，对于中国公司进入韩国以及韩国公司进入中国呢，都有巨大的帮助。
There are other Chinese companies interested in investments in Korea. They're looking to enter the Korean market following the enactment of the Korea-China Free Trade Accord late last year. Chief executive officers of some 30 leading companies in China have attended this investment roadshow sponsored by the Korean Embassy in China. They showed keen interest in doing business in Korea's finance, pharmaceutical, cultural contents, and consumer goods sectors. Now that the bilateral free trade deal has gone into effect, both Korea and China are working quickly to attract potential partners and look for investment opportunities.
A court has sentenced a former member of the joint panel that investigated the sinking of the South Korean warship Cheonan to prison for spreading rumors that the government concealed the true cause of the accident. In its ruling, the court said that the Cheonan vessel sank due to an explosion caused by a North Korean torpedo.
In May 2010, a joint panel investigating the sinking of the Cheonan naval corvette announced that the incident was caused by a North Korean attack.
무기 체계는 북한에서 제조한 고성능 폭약 250kg 규모의 오래로 확인되었습니다.
However, one of the panel members, Shin Sang-cheol, insisted that the ship had run aground. He also accused the government and military of misleading the public. Shin was sent to court on charges of defamation. The court sentenced him to 8 months in prison and 2 years of probation. In its verdict, the court supported the government's announcement that judging by the severed part of the sunken ship and the air sound waves measured at the time, it was correct to conclude that the ship had sunk due to an underwater explosion of a North Korean torpedo. The court also said there was not sufficient evidence to support the claims that the number 1 on the ship should have melted if there had been a torpedo explosion, or that the size of the torpedo propellant did not match the size of the torpedo design presented by investigators. However, Shin rejected the verdict and vowed to appeal.
In what appears to be a blatant case of road rage, a driver was arrested after intentionally ramming into another car 5 times. What set off this outburst? Honking. Here's more.
Inside a tunnel, a car faltered after being hit in the back by a sports utility vehicle. The SUV then overtook the car and blocked its way. It even reversed to crash into the car's door. After being hit 5 times, the victim dashed out of his car. The SUV fled the scene. Before entering the tunnel, the victim honked at the SUV for making an illegal U-turn. He says the SUV retaliated with road rage. The victim had to be hospitalized following the aggressive retaliation.
죽음의 위험까지도 느꼈었죠. 그다음에 제 차량을 벽으로 계속 몰아붙여서 저희 차량이 정차를 했고요. 저도 쫓아올 거라고는 상상도 못했죠.
The assailant, a 45-year-old man identified by his surname An, was captured 20 days after he had run away. An insists that he remembers nothing except for getting angry and pursuing the victim's car. Police arrested An on charges of crimes of violence.
The UNESCO World Heritage Site of Hwasong Fortress in Suwon, Gyeonggi Province was built when King Jeongjo moved his father's tomb to Suwon at the end of the 18th century. An event will be held to explore the meaning of the relic this year, the 2016 Visit Suwon Hwasong Fortress year.
The Suwon Hwasong Fortress runs through the heart of the city. It was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1997 in recognition of its value.
수원 화성 방문회 개막을 선언합니다.
The Visit Suwon Hwasong Fortress year has commenced, shedding new light on everything about the site. 127 events have been prepared, including a Suwon Hwasong International Music Festival and a reenactment of King Jeongjo's royal procession. The Suwon Hwasong site will be highlighted as a historical relic that embodies Korea's fortress construction technology, as well as an enticing tourist destination. The Suwon city government aims to capitalize on this year to make the city a tourism hub in Gyeonggi Province, which is visited by 10 million people a year. Particular efforts are being made to attract Chinese tourists.
它这个城市具有自己独特的传统的韩国文化包括在当时它有自己很领先的这种建筑。
However, much room for improvement still remains, such as an insufficient number of large hotels and programs that encourage prolonged stays in the city.
Let's talk interior decorating. In the past, large carpets ruled the scene, but nowadays people prefer small rugs that you can place around sofas and beds. In addition to keeping the room warm, rugs also help create a cozy atmosphere in your home. Here's our report on how to add something more to your home decor with rugs. Just looking at a perfectly placed rug can make you feel warm inside. Let's begin with a look at the latest trends in the rug market.
동유럽 스타일이 러그 업계 전반에 걸쳐서 많은 영향을 미치고 있는데요. 모던한 컬러 트렌드와 접목하면서 무채색의 자연주의를 강조한 디자인이 소비자들에게 많은 각광을 받고 있습니다.
Rugs can be classified into 3 varieties according to their patterns and fur length. Modern style rugs have relatively short fur and feature various patterns. Shaggy rugs have a fur length of 2 centimeters. Classical style rugs, for their part, feature Persian patterns and look extravagant. Rugs can be made of all kinds of materials. For children's rooms and kitchens, use rugs made of synthetic materials. They come in diverse colors and are more resistant to pollution. Wool rugs, which are excellent at holding in heat, are best for large spaces such as living rooms. If you're worried about how to wash a wool rug, choose one instead made from natural materials that are easy to wash, such as cotton. Rugs made from artificial calfskin featuring animal patterns have been in high demand for many years. But if you want to decorate several rooms with rugs, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Here's how to make a rug from old t-shirts.
티셔츠를 이제 잘라서 이렇게 실처럼 만들어가지고 이 실을 이용해서 뜨개질하는 기법으로 러그를 만들 거거든요.
Fold the t-shirt with one side being about 4 centimeters wider. Cut the protruding part diagonally without cutting it off completely to make one long string. Use a large hook to knit a round rug using the ropes.
못 입는 티셔츠들을 열심히 모아서 이렇게 예쁜 러그를 완성했습니다.
Stylish and warm rugs can turn even the coldest of rooms into a nice and cozy space. And now we'll take a look at the markets, followed by the world weather. And that's it for this edition of News Today. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll see you again at the same time tomorrow. Goodbye.